Hey everyone, Irit here, and I'm really excited to be a part of the Altenew January 2019 blog hop. So make sure you check out my blog post, all the links, all the people on the hop, because there are giveaways. There's a giveaway on the Altenew blog, and there's also a giveaway on my blog. So make sure you check that out. I will leave all the links in the description box. Now let's get to it. I am starting with this stamp and die set, which is called Fancy Frames. Now, to be honest, this was actually a product I didn't pick myself. I picked, well, flowers because those are always the ones that I'm most drawn to. And Altenew sent this set to me. And I'm so glad that they did, because this turned out to be basically the star of both of my layouts. So this video, I'm going to show you how I created the separate elements that I used on both my projects, my scrapbook layouts for this hop. So the second video will just show you how I put together my second page, and it has the same elements that I'm creating now. I really like to do that, to just sit down, watercolor a bunch of stamped images, die cut them, and then I have a little stash that I can use on several projects. If it's scrapbook layouts, art journal spreads, you know, you can do cards, whatever you want. But I always prefer to have too many than not enough, and then have to go back to embossing, watercoloring, die cutting. So yeah, that's what I'm showing you here. This is why this video is much longer, and I share with you the techniques that I use. So you know I'm obsessed with watercolors, and the Altenew watercolor set is really beautiful. The price for what you get is fantastic, and the colors here also coordinate with the Altenew inks. So if you're a stamper and a card maker and you want to venture into watercolors, this is a really great set to do so. Now, I am playing around with the Fancy Frames set and watercolors. Now, the stamp itself has an intricate pattern, and you have to remember that watercolors are, you know, they have a mind of their own. So in some instances here, I got a better impression, and then other times it was very loose, and you couldn't really see the pattern, just the general shape. I like all of the results. I like it when it's more intricate, more detailed, and I also like it when it's very loose. You see that I'm using here just like a rainbow of colors. I'm all about bright colors, and I just had so much fun playing with this set. I think it's a really versatile one, and I'm using, this is actually a drawing paper. You can use any sort of watercolor paper. Just make sure it's a paper that can handle water. We're not using a ton here, but you don't want it to start buckling. You want something, you know, rather thick that doesn't fall apart when you wet it. And when I stamp with watercolors, I push the stamp for a few seconds just to let the watercolor sink into the paper. So that's how I created those fancy frames. After I stamped them with watercolors, I ran it through my die cutting machine using the coordinating dies. Now, this set is, I absolutely love this set. It is called Wonderland, and indeed it is wonderful. It just has these beautiful flowers, and my favorite way, I've done this before, I do this a lot, and Altenew flower stamps are pretty much my favorites. I love embossing with white embossing powder and then watercoloring it. I think it just looks so beautiful, so elegant. Of course, you can use whatever colors you want. I always gravitate towards the same colors, you know, the pinks, the turquoises, the yellows. I just love how that looks. But yeah, it's such a beautiful set. And I did get the coordinating dies, but you know, it makes life really, really simple to have those coordinating dies. But you can obviously fussy cut this if you don't want to commit to those. I can tell you that I have been buying Altenew stamps for years, even before I was guest designing for them, and I got so much use out of my flower stamps. They're just my favorites, and some I have matching dies, some I don't. I just fussy cut them. Yeah, they're just so beautiful, and they look great on everything. So as I said, I'm here in this part of the video. I'm just working on the different elements, and then after I have a nice little pile of them, I'm going to design my layouts. Actually, at this point, while I was coloring, I wasn't really sure if I was going to make an art journal page. I created an art journal page for my previous guest designer spot, and I loved doing that. I used other flower stamps, of course, and the Altenew watercolors. You can find that video on my channel. I will try to remember to leave a link here. So yeah, I didn't know if I was going to make scrapbook layouts, but I just had some cute photos, and yeah, it was just such a joy to design with these beautiful products. I hardly used any other supplies. Just the stamped images are so intricate and beautiful and detailed that you really don't need a lot, and the effect is quite striking. So this part is, I think it's very therapeutic and fun to play with. You can really just enjoy and play around with different color schemes. What you could do is you can wet the entire area of the flower and then drop in different colors. You'll always get beautiful effects, and it's so pretty. So after everything was dry, I ran it through my little cuddle bug, my die cutting machine, and everything just cut beautifully. I sometimes struggle with little details, but these lined up without a problem. I use some washi tape just to stick down the dies to my paper, and it works wonderfully. I didn't have any issues to kind of, line them up. Sometimes with some stamps it can be challenging, but this was really, really easy, and the result was just beautiful. So another beautiful flower, and I'm using a brush, just a round number 10 brush. I prefer to work with round brushes. This one in particular is Paul Rubens, in case you're wondering, but any similar brush will do. You can also use a water brush if you prefer. Actually, a water brush comes with the set when you purchase it, but I just prefer to have more control on the amount of water that I use. So I just prefer a traditional brush, but I know a lot of people really, really like using a water brush. It definitely has its advantages that you don't need a tub of water, and you can just use the reserve in your brush is what I want to say. So getting a little bit more bold here with the colors. I don't think I end up using that particular flower in my two layouts, but isn't that pretty? I just love it. So feel free to mix your own shades. I do that all the time, even with such a large set that has already so many colors. It's still really, really fun to mix your own. And yeah, for me, especially in those areas of, pinks and violets, I love having as many colors as I can. So I mixed some myself. And with the greens, I really love having those super vibrant, bright yellow greens, and you can see there's a really pretty vibrant green there in the palette. I have to say Altenew did a great job with this watercolor set. I think the colors are fantastic, and if you enjoy coloring florals like this, it's just a joy to play with these products. So once everything is completely dry, we can move on to the die cutting. And I just want to show you this particular stamp set. It has that long stem, and when I stamped it, it wasn't exactly lined up like the die. So what I did was I just die cut the edge of that flower, and then the rest of it I used scissors to cut. So if you want to play with that angle or positioning of the stem, you definitely can. Just when you run it through your die cutting machine, just put the top of the flower, like the bloom itself, in that sandwich of your machine, and then the stem you can just cut with scissors. So this is just, you know, I was loving the rainbow colors, and I was very inspired to create a little rainbow frame. And the stamp I'm going to use for this comes from a set called Simple Shapes Extra Large or XL, and it's just like a diamond shaped stamp, but you can use pretty much any design that you want, or any kind of, I guess a simple shape would be just easier to handle, and create such a frame. So I know only like the outer, I don't know, 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit more is going to show. So I don't really need the top to be super straight or anything like that. If you want to use just one piece of paper for your background and stamp the rainbow on it, you might have to be a little bit careful, maybe mask off just the edge that you want to stamp. And this way you'll get, you know, a cleaner look, because just lining up everything, yeah, for me, it's challenging. As I said, I don't do well with tiny, tiny details. So I just decided to do this like this. I'm going to use like a white cardstock for my background and just trim it a little bit, and then glue it on top of this sheet of paper, and then this way I don't have to worry about the edges. So I used a mixture of inks. Mostly it's Distress Oxides. What you want to keep if you're doing something like this, it's not just about the colors. You also want to make sure that the like saturation level is similar with all your colors. You don't want, you know, to have like soft pastel colors and then one very, very dark blue or something like that, because that kind of, it just messes with that rainbow. I know I get very particular when it comes to colors and rainbows, but I just love the way it looks. It makes me happy, and I absolutely adore the way this turned out. And yeah, I hope you will feel inspired to create something similar. So now I'm going to assemble some of the elements I'm going to use here, and you see me using both of the stamps from the Fancy Frames set. And I'm just going to create this big embellishment using also doilies between them. And I just ran this fast, just the middle of it, through my sewing machine. It gives a nice detail, but it also keeps things in place, so I don't have to worry about everything moving around while I'm handling it. Of course, you can just glue it, but I really like the look of the stitches, so that's what I did. And I thought at the beginning I was going to put a button in the middle of that, but I think I'm going to end up using a sticker instead. So the photos here are of my daughter Ella with this beautiful rainbow lollipop. And yes, I know, it's like a photographer's dream. It just looks so nice. And yeah, I think that was the inspiration for all these rainbows, even though I don't need anything to inspire me to paint rainbows, because I do that all the time. So I used these word stickers. They're from Amy Tan from one of her recent collections, I think. And then the Paige Evans gorgeous little thickers for the So Delicious, again going with some rainbow order, something like that. And I was playing around with the idea of using that black and white bow. It's a Maggie Holmes one, if I'm not mistaken. And I end up not using it because I feel it was a little bit too intense and a little bit distracting, not in a good way, but I think that would look super cute on a card or something like that. So now I'm going to add some of my flowers, and you see me fussing around. I was moving things around. I wasn't sure where to place them, but eventually I find kind of a placement or design that I'm pleased with. And that's basically it. So once I had all my elements, things came together rather quickly. And I mean, look at all these pretty images I have there on the left. So much pretty stuff to play with. You can also see the fancy frames. I also stamped them just with regular stamping ink. I used actually 2 colors or even 3 of the Altenew turquoise inks. They have these little mini cubes that you can buy in different like saturation levels. So a light turquoise, middle turquoise, and then a deeper turquoise. And I inked the stamp with that and then stamped it. And you can see some of that on that left edge of the screen. It turned out beautifully. Of course, with inks, you can see more of the pattern than with watercolors. I don't end up using it but on these projects, but I will definitely use it in a future project. So you can use also regular ink or try mixing up colors, just have fun and play with it. Here's my finished page. I hope you feel inspired, and I will see you in my second video showing you how I put together my second layout for this hop. See you there.